please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce to you an excellent icebreaker that you can use in any of your events, in your team meetings, or any situation where you want to build a good relationship in your team. This icebreaker is suitable for any size of group from just 5 to even 500. Let's jump right in. My name is Alastair McTavish. I'm an internationally certified soft skills trainer. I've delivered training to thousands of people in more than a dozen countries around the world. This channel aims to help you take your soft skills, communication skills, and leadership skills to the next level. So, before I introduce this icebreaker, what I just want to emphasize is the fact that if you're organizing a training, you're organizing a team meeting or an event, the best icebreakers are not just some random thing where people jump up and down, do high fives, do sorts of silly things, but the best icebreakers are relevant to the topic because they help people actually learn something and they give people an experience that they can take away with them that is memorable, that will help them remember the key point that you want them to take away. All right, so if you're organizing a meeting on leadership for the leadership team, it's great if your icebreaker can be related to leadership. So with that said, let's jump right in to the icebreaker. Now, this icebreaker is called Chinese Whispers. I'm sure many of you have heard of this game, maybe played it when you were a child many years ago. It's a fantastic tool that you can use to build a great relationship with your team and kick off your meeting where everybody has a lot more energy, where people laugh, they had fun, and they actually learn something. Step number 1 is preparation. So the first step is thinking, how many people have you got at your event? Now, on average, I would split people into groups of between 5 and 8. Okay, groups of between 5 and 8. Now, however many groups you're going to have of between 5 and 8, you simply need a piece of paper with some text on. Okay, and what you need to do is print out maybe just about 20 words, just 3 very short lines of text in very big writing that people can read. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you have 25 people, you're going to have 5 groups of 5. So you simply print out 5 pieces of paper which has about 20 words on that people need to communicate to others. So that's step number 1. And very simply enough, you just need another 5 small blank pieces of paper. Step number 2, how to run the activity. So a great way to start this activity is to put people into groups. So let's just imagine you have 25 people and we're going to have 5 groups. So you can just say to everybody, please get into groups of 5. But a much more fun way to do it is if you're in a meeting room, get everybody to stand up behind their chair. And what you ask them to do, you ask them to walk around the outside of all the tables. If you're in a big room with various tables, just ask them to walk around the room in a circle. And what you do, you say, when I give you a number, please can you get into a group of that number? And so if you say 5, boom, they're going to get into a group of 5. And it's just a much more fun way of putting people into groups rather than just saying, please stand up and go into groups. So you've got people in groups of 5. Now what you want to do, you want each group of 5 to stand in a line. Okay, each group of 5 to stand in a line, not standing next to each other. They must be at least a meter apart. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to brief the people, all of the people who are standing on one side of the line. You're going to tell them that you're going to give them a piece of paper with some writing on, and what they have to do, they have to whisper what's on the piece of paper to the next person in the line. That person needs to whisper it down to the next person, down to the next person, and finally down to the 5th person. And the 5th person will have a blank piece of paper and a pen, and they need to write down what they understood, what the last person told them. So by this point, people are getting a little bit nervous, and a little bit worried. So you might just tell them, don't worry if you get it completely wrong. That's all part of the game. As the saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's the journey that counts. So then you'll ask people, do they have any questions? If they have no questions, you can just start to run the activity. You might say, the first team is the winner, and you could have prizes for whichever team is the fastest and has the most accurate, writes down most accurately what was written on the original piece of paper. Some people might ask you, can we check with the person? Can we double check what the person told us? Can we ask them questions? And the answer is yes, you can. But before giving the initial instructions, don't share this information, because you can use this in the debrief. Okay? So then run the activity and just double check people are actually whispering, because some people naturally speak quite loudly, and check nobody's cheating. Also confirm that you're not allowed to show people the piece of paper. You have to whisper. Okay? Then after the first group finishes, walk down to the end of the line and ask them to write down. The final stage number 3, is the debrief. So how to debrief this activity. So before you start running the activity, you write on the flip chart 2 questions. Number 1 is, what would you do differently next time if you could run this activity again? And question 2 is, what did you learn about effective communication? Okay, so question 1 again is, what would you do differently if you could do this exercise again to get an even better result, to do this even more effectively? And question number 2 is, what did you learn about effective communication? So when the groups have finished, you will reveal the flip chart with these 2 questions on. You will ask the groups to stand together in a circle. So each group of 5 in one circle, and they can compare what was on the original piece of paper and what they wrote down and how different it was, and then discuss the 2 questions that I just mentioned. Get them to discuss together in their groups for a minute or so. Firstly, you'd ask, so how did you get on? How did it go? And people will debrief this, and they might say, well, we did quite well, or oh, it was a disaster, we got nothing, we missed loads of words out, and there should be quite a lot of laughter. So you can go back to your flip chart and say, right, so if you could do this exercise again, what would you do differently? So that what the last person wrote down was even more accurate than what you got so far. And people will give you various suggestions. And then secondly, you move on to the second question, which is, what did you learn from this activity about effective communication? And people should give you various ideas. Then you can summarize what people told you. You can summarize the learnings from the activity. And another option is you can reveal another flip chart with a summary of 3 effective communication tips from this exercise. So the first tip is to communicate effectively, whether it's on the phone or face-to-face. It's important to double check information. So you can say that you observed some of the groups just whispered the message down the line without double checking. Now, if you're in a restaurant and the waiter or waitress ask you what food they would like, and they don't double check what you ordered, sometimes mistakes can happen, right? We've all experienced this. However, if a waiter or waitress takes your order and they say, right, let me just double check, you ordered da-da-da-da-da-da, is that right? 99 times out of 100, they will not make a mistake, correct? So effective communication skill number 1 is, when communicating, it's important to double check or just summarize what was said to check understanding. Tip number 2, if what you wrote on the piece of paper for people to use in the game, if it was in, let's say, 3 parts, you can mention the rule of 3, the power of 3. You can suggest that they could have broken up the sentences into 3 parts and said that the first part is this, the second part is this, the third part is this, and emphasize that when communicating, if we communicate in 3 parts, it's easy for us to communicate and it's easy for other people to remember. So if you're on the phone, you want people to remember something, you're making a presentation, you can say there are 2 parts, or there are three parts in my presentation, or there are 2 things or 3 things I would like you to take away or remember. And in this way, it can facilitate effective communication rather than just communicating a very long message that people may well remember. And the third and final effective communication skills tip you can give is, instead of just going straight in and talking and communicating the message, what people can do is do a summary or just give the big picture at the beginning. So for example, you could say, well, there are 3 lines, there's about 20 words, and I'm going to communicate to you, and it's going to be in 3 parts. Okay, so let me tell you the first part. The first part is da 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 da. So in this way, you communicate the bigger picture, the big picture of what you're going to talk about, like a brief summary, and then you go into more detail. Too many people, they just blah, 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 talk for ages, and it's just information overload. It's far too much to take in. Then you could optionally, before you complete before you ask people to sit back down, you could say, so what did you learn from this activity? And what can you apply in your job? And then complete silence. See what people say, see what they can apply, see what they can use. Then ask them to take a seat. And I've used this activity many times myself when doing training for global Fortune 500 companies like General Motors. Also regularly use it with groups where there's a bit of space and I want to increase the energy level and the engagement level of the delegates. I used it in a training yesterday, and it was very, very effective. The delegates were delighted that they didn't just sit in their seat and listen to the trainer talking death by PowerPoint style, and they can actually get up, do some activities, not only have fun, but actually learn something while doing an experiential activity. So if you enjoyed this activity, please write in the comments what you liked about it, and when are you going to try and use this activity in your team meetings, in your away days, or in your events? Please let me know. I'd love to hear that. And if you did actually give this activity a go, please again write in the comments, how successful was it? Did people enjoy it? Are you going to try and use it again? If you found this video useful, please give it a like and please subscribe to this channel. We have a lot more videos coming to help you take your soft skills, communication skills, and leadership skills to the next level. See you on the next one.